Introduction: Unveiling the Unspoken. In the tranquil embrace of a suburban neighborhood, where life unfolded in a seemingly perfect rhythm, a story of ordinary lives and extraordinary transformations was quietly taking shape. The setting was unremarkable, marked by rows of nearly identical houses adorned with neatly manicured lawns, each house harboring its own secrets, hopes, and dreams. Amidst this picturesque tableau, the Andersons, Mark and Sarah, stood as a testament to the facade many couples unwittingly create. Mark, an unassuming middle-aged accountant, and Sarah, a dedicated schoolteacher, embodied the epitome of a conventional existence. Their outward appearance bespoke a life filled with contentment, yet behind closed doors, their world bore witness to a far different reality, a reality where words went unspoken, emotions buried, and a silent chasm grew. Their story unfolded not amidst the grandeur of epic adventures or within the realms of fantastical imagination. Instead, it was woven into the tapestry of everyday existence, where the mundane routines of work, household chores, and familial obligations masked the deeper undercurrents of their relationship. Each evening, Mark would return home, his face etched with the weariness of a long day at the office, and promptly retreat to his dimly lit study. There, the piles of paperwork and neatly organized files provided an illusion of order in a world he increasingly found chaotic. Sarah, on the other hand, buried herself in the never-ending sea of papers to grade. Her evenings consisted of correcting tests and homework assignments, occasionally stealing a glance at the clock, as if hoping it would somehow slow the passage of time. Yet, amidst the backdrop of this shared existence, a growing tension was palpable, a tension born from the unspoken words that loomed heavy between them. Conversations that once flowed freely had gradually given way to a silence that seemed insurmountable. Their love, once vibrant and unyielding, now appeared fragile, like delicate glass on the brink of shattering. The dishes in the sink remained unwashed, symbolizing the daily neglect of their relationship, and the space between them felt like an unbridgeable chasm. But life has a way of forcing one's hand when change is needed most. It was a seemingly ordinary evening, following yet another heated argument about household chores, when Mark and Sarah reached a pivotal crossroads, a breaking point that would redefine their journey and the course of their lives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room, Mark cleared his throat, gathering the courage to utter the words that had long gone unsaid. "Sarah," he began, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 unsaid sentiments, "we need to talk." Sarah, weary and emotionally drained, looked up from her work. Her eyes, a mix of frustration and curiosity, locked onto Mark's. "What's on your mind?" In that moment, the floodgates of their hearts opened, and the unspoken words spilled forth. What followed was a night of raw, unfiltered honesty, a night where the cracks in their relationship became visible, but also a night where the seeds of transformation were sown. This story, unburdened by the trappings of fiction or fantastical elements, delves into the intricacies of ordinary lives and the struggles that beset even the most seemingly idyllic relationships. It is a story of two souls, Mark and Sarah, who dared to confront the abyss that had grown between them, and in doing so, discovered that the power of connection and the resilience of love could breathe life into their world once more. Join us as we navigate the chapters of their lives, where the unspoken will be unveiled, commitment will be tested, and growth will become the crucible for renewed love. In this journey through the tapestry of everyday existence, we discover that sometimes, The most profound stories are those woven from the threads of reality itself.
Chapter 1: The Unspoken Words. In the heart of their suburban neighborhood, the Andersons' home sat amidst a sea of similarly structured houses, each one a mirror image of its neighbor. Neatly trimmed hedges and white picket fences painted an image of suburban perfection. But behind the facade of conformity, an unsettling tension festered within the walls of the Anderson household. Mark Anderson, a middle-aged accountant, was a man of routine. Each morning, he would leave for work promptly at 8 a.m., his tie neatly knotted, and return at precisely 6 p.m. His days were consumed by numbers, spreadsheets, and the ceaseless hum of office chatter. He had become a master at masking his inner turmoil with a stoic facade. Sarah, his wife, was a schoolteacher with an unwavering dedication to her students. She reveled in the energy of her third graders and the chalk-dusted classroom that was her second home. Her evenings, however, bore the weight of countless assignments to grade and lessons to plan. The emotional exhaustion she carried often went unnoticed. Their paths would cross each evening as the sun dipped below the horizon. In the dwindling light of day, they exchanged curt greetings and retreated to their respective corners of the house. The warmth of their marriage had faded into the background, like an old photograph gathering dust on a forgotten shelf. The unspoken words were a heavy presence in the room, a tangible entity that seemed to grow with each passing day. It wasn't that they had nothing to say to each other, it was that they had grown skilled at avoiding the conversations that mattered most. In their quest for comfort and routine, they had neglected the most crucial element of their relationship: communication. One evening, after a particularly trying day at work, Mark arrived home, his face etched with the weariness of hours spent scrutinizing financial statements. He longed for the solace of his study, the one place where the chaos of life seemed to recede. However, this evening was different. The dishes lay neglected in the sink, and a tension hung in the air so thick it could be cut with a knife. Sarah, engrossed in grading papers at the dining table, had not prepared their customary dinner. Mark hesitated, then cleared his throat, steeling himself for a conversation that had been a long time coming. "Sarah, we need to talk." Sarah looked up, her eyes a mixture of surprise and trepidation. She had been expecting another evening of silence, of words unspoken, and yet, here was her husband, breaking the cycle. "What's on your mind?" she asked, her voice tinged with a hint of vulnerability. Mark took a deep breath and began to speak, his voice carrying the weight of years of unspoken thoughts and emotions. "I feel like we're drifting apart," he confessed, his gaze fixed on the worn hardwood floor. "We hardly communicate anymore, and it's affecting us, Sarah. It's affecting our children." For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the room was filled with words, with the raw honesty that had been absent for so long. In that moment, Mark and Sarah had taken the first step on a path that would lead them to confront the unspoken words and embark on a journey of rediscovery. Their conversation continued late into the night, punctuated by tears, frustrations, and moments of understanding. They realized that the chasm between them had grown not out of a lack of love, but out of a failure to express it. It was a poignant realization that marked the beginning of a profound transformation, a transformation that would unfold in the chapters to come.
Chapter 2: The Breaking Point. The night was heavy with unspoken words, and the dimly lit living room bore witness to the simmering tension that had permeated the Andersons' home for far too long. Mark and Sarah had taken the monumental step of acknowledging their drifting apart, but the path ahead was far from clear. As they sat on the sofa, the air between them thick with unresolved emotions, it was as if time itself had stilled, waiting for their next move. Mark felt a tightness in his chest, the weight of their shared history pressing down on him. Sarah, her eyes filled with a mixture of apprehension and longing, waited for Mark to continue. Taking a deep breath, Mark began to speak, his voice quivering slightly as he delved into the depths of their struggles. "Sarah, it's not just about the dishes or the chores," he admitted, his gaze finally meeting hers. "It's about us. It's about the silence that has consumed our lives, the way we've drifted apart." Sarah nodded slowly, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know, Mark," she said softly. "I've felt it too. But I didn't know how to bridge the gap." In that moment, their vulnerability bound them together. It was the first time in years that they had shared their true feelings, letting down the walls they had carefully constructed around their hearts. Mark continued, "I don't want us to become strangers, to wake up one day and realize we've lost each other." Sarah reached out and took his hand, a silent pledge to stay connected. "I don't want that either," she whispered. Their conversation flowed, punctuated by moments of painful truth and relief as they revealed the resentments, regrets, and dreams that had long remained unspoken. Mark confessed his frustration at feeling like a mere provider, lost in the shuffle of their daily routines. Sarah revealed the loneliness she felt, even in the midst of a bustling classroom. The breaking point, it seemed, was the turning point. It was a night when their walls came crashing down, when they faced the harsh reality of their neglected relationship, and decided to confront it head-on. The dishes in the sink symbolized not only their domestic negligence but also the emotional neglect they had inflicted upon each other. As the clock ticked on, Mark and Sarah knew that acknowledging their issues was just the beginning. The path to healing was still shrouded in uncertainty, but they were committed to navigating it together. They realized that it wasn't about blame or fault, but about rediscovering the love that had drawn them together in the first place. The breaking point had exposed their vulnerabilities, but it had also illuminated the path forward, a path that required them to confront the unspoken, to rebuild what had been eroded by silence, and to find a way back to each other's hearts. It was a journey they were willing to undertake, no matter how arduous, for the sake of their love and the life they had built together.
Chapter 3: The Unveiling. In the wake of that pivotal night, the Anderson household underwent a subtle transformation. The air no longer seemed laden with unspoken grievances, and a fragile sense of hope began to take root. Mark and Sarah had dared to break the silence, and in doing so, they had illuminated the path towards healing. Days turned into weeks, and the evenings that once echoed with silence were now filled with conversations. Mark and Sarah made a conscious effort to connect, even if it meant discussing the most mundane aspects of their day. They took long walks in the neighborhood, hand in hand, as if rediscovering the world around them. The simple act of walking together allowed them to share their thoughts, dreams, and frustrations without the distractions of home. It was during these walks that Mark opened up about his passion for painting, a long-lost hobby he had set aside in the name of responsibility. Sarah, in turn, shared her desire to start a book club with her fellow teachers, a dream that had remained dormant. Their newfound openness spilled over into their home life as well. They would sit together at the dining table, sharing stories of their students, reminiscing about their own school days, and laughing over the antics of their children. The raw honesty of that initial conversation had become the foundation upon which they rebuilt their relationship. It was as if a dam had burst, and the flood of words, emotions, and shared experiences washed away the isolation that had kept them apart. One evening, as they sat on the porch, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves overhead, Sarah turned to Mark with a smile. "Do you remember when we used to talk like this all the time?" she asked, her eyes reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and joy. Mark nodded, his own smile mirroring hers. "I do," he replied. "I don't know how we let it slip away." Sarah's gaze softened, and she placed her hand on his. "What matters is that we found our way back to each other." The unveiling continued beyond their words. Mark and Sarah began to see each other in a new light. They discovered facets of each other's personalities that had long been buried beneath the weight of their routine. Sarah marveled at the depth of Mark's creativity as he threw himself into painting once more. His studio, once a forgotten corner of their home, now echoed with the strokes of his brush and the vibrant colors of his canvases. Mark, in turn, admired the passion and dedication Sarah poured into her book club, her enthusiasm for literature reigniting his own love for reading. Their shared journey of unveiling, of revealing their true selves to each other once more, was marked by moments of vulnerability and understanding. They had come to realize that love wasn't about perfection, but about embracing each other's imperfections, about acknowledging the scars of their past and forging a stronger bond in the present. As the weeks turned into months, Mark and Sarah's relationship continued to evolve. The unspoken words that had once kept them at a distance had now been replaced with a profound sense of connection and renewed love. It was a journey that had only just begun, but as they walked hand in hand into the future, they did so with hearts unburdened by the weight of the unspoken and a shared commitment to cherish the beauty of their imperfect, yet deeply loving, relationship.
Chapter 4: The Commitment. As the seasons shifted, so did the Andersons' relationship. The healing process, set in motion during their heartfelt conversation and continued through the unveiling of their true selves, was now solidifying into a profound commitment. The commitment to nurture their love, rebuild their connection, and prioritize each other in the midst of life's demands. Mark and Sarah's newfound dedication to one another was not a mere promise, but a daily practice. They recognized that it was easy to fall back into old habits, to let the routine of life overshadow their commitment. So, they made a conscious effort to set aside time each day for one another. They started with simple rituals, like sharing breakfast together. Instead of hastily gulping down their coffee and cereal in solitude, they sat across from each other at the kitchen table. They discussed their plans for the day, exchanged small, affectionate gestures, and reaffirmed their love with morning kisses and smiles. To further rekindle their connection, they implemented technology-free evenings. Devices were tucked away in a designated charging station, and the distractions of emails, social media, and endless scrolling were replaced with intimate conversations, board games, or quiet evenings reading side by side. On weekends, they ventured beyond the confines of their home, exploring nearby parks, visiting art galleries, or attending book club meetings together. These shared experiences rekindled the sense of adventure and exploration that had drawn them together in the early days of their relationship. They also embarked on a journey of self-discovery, encouraging each other to pursue their individual passions. Mark's painting evolved into a form of therapy, a medium through which he expressed his emotions and desires. Sarah's book club provided her with a sense of community and personal growth. Their commitment extended to their roles as parents. They recognized that their relationship was not only the foundation of their love but also the model upon which their children would base their own understanding of love and partnership. By witnessing their parents' newfound closeness and open communication, their children learned valuable lessons about the importance of nurturing relationships. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Mark and Sarah's commitment to one another was unwavering. It was a commitment not solely born of love, but also of a shared understanding that relationships required effort and dedication. They had learned that love, like a fragile plant, needed consistent care, attention, and nurturing to flourish. Their journey wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of doubt, of frustration, and of setbacks. But their commitment to one another served as a compass, guiding them through the rough waters of life. They understood that love wasn't always about grand gestures or epic declarations. Sometimes, it was simply the steadfast choice to be there for each other, day in and day out. In the midst of their commitment, Mark and Sarah rediscovered the beauty of their love, the love that had brought them together in the first place, the love that had weathered storms, and the love that had emerged stronger and more vibrant than ever. It was a love that served as a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever felt the strains of an ordinary life, reminding them that even amidst the routine of daily existence, there was space for extraordinary love and unwavering commitment.
Chapter 5: The Growth. As Mark and Sarah continued to nurture their rekindled connection, their relationship experienced a profound transformation. What had begun as a commitment to rebuild their love evolved into a journey of personal and shared growth. Mark's return to painting had breathed new life into his creative spirit. His studio, once a place of neglected dreams, now became a sanctuary where he poured his emotions onto canvases. His art was a reflection of his evolving emotions, and each stroke of the brush carried the weight of his past struggles and newfound joys. Sarah, too, found herself in a period of growth. Her book club had not only introduced her to new literary worlds but had also expanded her social circle. She began to organize themed events and discussions, inspiring her colleagues and students with her passion for learning and the written word. Their individual pursuits not only rekindled their sense of purpose but also provided fresh perspectives to share with each other. Mark would eagerly show Sarah his latest painting, explaining the emotions and stories behind each piece. Sarah would bring home thought-provoking books that led to engaging conversations about life, philosophy, and human nature. It wasn't just their personal interests that flourished, their relationship itself was evolving. They had learned the art of active listening, truly hearing each other's thoughts and feelings without judgment. Their disagreements were no longer battles but opportunities for understanding and compromise. One evening, as they sat on their porch, sipping tea and watching the sun dip below the horizon, Mark turned to Sarah with a smile. "Do you remember when we used to think we knew everything about each other?" he asked. Sarah chuckled softly, her eyes reflecting the wisdom they had gained. "Yes, and it turns out there's still so much to discover." Their growth was not without its challenges. There were moments of doubt and vulnerability, but they faced these hurdles together, knowing that their love and commitment would see them through. They understood that growth often involved discomfort, that it meant stepping out of their comfort zones, and that it required a willingness to evolve as individuals and as partners. Their children observed their transformation with wide-eyed curiosity, learning valuable lessons about resilience and the endless possibilities for personal development. Mark and Sarah had become role models, showing their children that growth was not limited to childhood but was a lifelong journey. As the seasons changed, so did Mark and Sarah. They had embraced the beauty of personal and shared growth, recognizing that love was not static but a dynamic force that thrived on change, adaptation, and the constant pursuit of becoming better versions of themselves. Their story was no longer just about rediscovering love, it was about embracing the boundless potential for growth that life offered. Mark and Sarah had embarked on a journey of continuous learning, of evolving together, and of cherishing the ever-expanding horizons of their love. In Chapter 6, their journey would reach its culmination, as they discovered the true power of their renewed love and the depth of their commitment to one another and to the life they had built together.
Chapter 6: The Renewed Love. With each passing day, Mark and Sarah's journey towards renewal and reconnection continued to unfold. Chapter 6 brought them to the culmination of their transformative odyssey, a chapter where the true power of their renewed love would be revealed. Their daily rituals of connection had become second nature. Breakfast together, evening walks, and tech-free nights were no longer conscious efforts but integral parts of their shared life. Their individual passions, painting, and book club, flourished and thrived, providing them with a sense of fulfillment that radiated into their relationship. The key to their renewed love was not just in the words they shared but in the actions they took. Acts of love and appreciation became a regular part of their relationship. Mark would leave love notes for Sarah, tucked into her lunch bag or slipped under her pillow. Sarah, in turn, would surprise Mark with his favorite homemade dessert or an unexpected hug in the middle of his workday. But it was their deeper emotional connection that truly defined their renewed love. They had learned to lean on each other during times of hardship, providing unwavering support and comfort. The challenges of life were no longer solitary burdens but shared experiences that brought them closer together. One pivotal moment came during a family crisis when Mark's aging parents faced a health scare. Instead of retreating into their individual shells, Mark and Sarah faced the situation as a united front. They offered each other emotional strength and worked together to provide the best possible care for Mark's parents. It was in those trying moments that they realized the depth of their bond and the power of their love. Their intimacy had also blossomed, not just physically but emotionally. They allowed themselves to be vulnerable with one another, sharing their deepest fears, insecurities, and dreams. The physical aspect of their relationship was rekindled with newfound passion and tenderness, a reflection of the emotional intimacy they had cultivated. Their love became a source of inspiration not just for themselves, but for those around them. Friends and family could see the transformation in their relationship, and many sought their advice on nurturing and sustaining love through the years. Their children, who had witnessed the evolution of their parents' love, learned a profound lesson about the enduring nature of commitment, and the beauty of a love that could be rekindled even in the midst of an ordinary life. One evening, as they sat on their porch, a gentle rain falling around them, Mark turned to Sarah and said, "Our love has grown stronger than ever, hasn't it?" Sarah smiled, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "Yes, Mark, it has. And it's a testament to our commitment and the power of our connection." Their journey was a testament to the idea that love, when nurtured with care, patience, and unwavering commitment, could flourish even in the most ordinary of lives. It was a love that had withstood the test of time, had weathered storms, and had emerged as a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever doubted the possibility of renewing and revitalizing a relationship. Chapter 6 marked the culmination of their story, a chapter where the renewed love that had emerged from the ashes of silence, distance, and unspoken words shone brightly. It was a love that had been tested and found unbreakable, a love that had transformed their ordinary life into an extraordinary journey of rediscovery, growth, and the enduring power of love.